This is the story of how Arnold Schwarzenegger stopped me from being raped as a child. I have to tell it to you from the beginning so it makes sense. Years ago, there was a grocery store called Eagle Supermarket. And I go in there and they had all these magazines. And one day I was in there and noticed all these magazines about bodybuilding, muscle and fitness and stuff. And I was intrigued. So I pick them up, and on the cover is Arnold Schwarzenegger. And he had these big muscles and they rippling everywhere. And I was like, I want to look like that. So at the time, I was extremely poor. So what I did was I got a car axle, and we had a pine tree in the front yard. So this became my pull-up bar. At the time, I got so good I could do 30 pull-ups. I was about 5'9", 215-ish. So that was really good. Then I found a bucket full of cement, and that became my curling apparatus, right? And then I found some other stuff. I found some machinery, and that became my overhead press. And then I just did push-ups for bench. I did a lot of push-ups. At one point, I could do like 100 push-ups in a row. What I did not know at the time was I had genetic gifts. I had no clue that genetically I had the ability to get really, really strong. And I started working out 13, 14-ish. And I got really strong, but I was unaware how strong I was because I wasn't part of a gym. And then this is a neighborhood friend tried to molest me, and we got into it, and I realized I was a kid. I had no clue what he was trying to do. And he was trying to do something to me, and I didn't want it, so I pushed him, right? Then he came back, then I popped him, then I hit him again, and okay, this is the new Disruptive Male. One of the things that we're gonna offer, and the link is below, is we're gonna offer masculine consulting for those who want it. And this is an introductory offer. I'm gonna throw in some other stuff. So everyone that signs up for a consulting session, you're gonna get some free books and some other stuff. So we're going to post it down there. I'm probably going to do the first consult for maybe $100 to $150. The link is below if you need consulting to improve your masculinity. Then I did what we used to call the Swahili, kicked, I did this sweep, knocked him on the ground, then I kicked him as hard as his ribs. I understood that I broke one of his ribs. And then I put him down and I hit him with a rock. Then I ran off. I had no clue to what he was up to until much later, much later. Because essentially this guy was going to try to rape me, but because I had been working out, I was actually stronger than he was, and he was an adult man. I was actually stronger than he was, and like I said, 13, 14. And this is my first introduction to body game. I really didn't understand the importance of body game. And I began to understand because I was in high school playing football, and I was benching 315. I was one of the few people who were benching 315, and people knows that. So I began to understand that I had genetic gifts, right? So I go in the military, and this is where the big change happens. I go in the military, I'm 5'9". And I go to Fort Dix, New Jersey, during the middle of the summer. The summer is really important. So it was seriously hot. So we were walk, march, sweat all day. And I was like about 219, 220 when I went in. When I came back, I did not understand that I was like 185, 190 pounds. So what I did, because I was really young, I did something that's really hard to do when you get older. I had gained muscle and I lost fat. So I came back, I was about 190, and people in the neighborhood, they recognized me. People was like, oh my God, it's you, right? And that was my second experience with body game. When you change your body, you change your life. Then this is when body game really impacted me. And I didn't understand it because I had men who mentored me, who taught me about business, life. My grandfather, Amos McDaniel, taught me how to be a good husband. But I had to kind of figure out how to get with girls on my own. And then I leave Adamsville and I go to Fort, what is it? Not Fort Dix, but what's the Army base in, hold on a second, because this is important. What is the Army base in Fort Sam Houston? Oh. All right, so I go from Alabama to Fort Sam Houston, which is in San Antonio, Texas. And I did not realize the importance of body game because this is something that happened to me that didn't happen to me in high school. Women would just literally come up and start talking to me. I didn't understand. I didn't know what was going on. And there was this one girl, her name was Christy. If I knew what I know today, Christy would have been my first sexual partner because at the time I was a virgin. And Christy was pushing up on me, letting me know, oh, it was mine, right? I had no clue. So I meet my first girlfriend, Sharon, and then we go to the hotel and I lose my virginity and I am in love. I am in love because Sharon was a girl from Brockton, Massachusetts. She had this accent, she had all of that stuff. And I was just sitting there like, Then I leave Fort Sam Houston, then I go to Schofield Barracks. And this is where body game becomes crazy. Because there's 4 of us who go to Hawaii. The other 3, they go to Triple Army Medical Center. I go to Fort Schofield Barracks. And I'm in the infantry unit. And we're running, we're doing road marches, we're deploying and all this other stuff. And I noticed something that I had no problem befriending women. None whatsoever. I had this friend. If I didn't know, she would have been my second sexual partner. I used to have these horrible razor bumps, right? Horrible. I mean, back of my face looked like the back of a Nestle Crunch bar. It was terrible. And she would literally let me lay in her lap. And I'm going to explain to you one incident that happened that let me know if I wanted that, it could have been mine. She had just taken a shower. She was in a robe, nothing on under the robe. She let me lay on her lap. Her titty is literally hanging out of her robe. I see nipple. And she's in there with a toothpick, plucking. Her hands are so soft. She smells amazing. And if I knew what I know today, I could have tapped that. And after she got finished, I thank you. I went upstairs, put alcohol on it. My face was blazing. And then I had my friend Walker. Walker was from South Carolina. And Walker, I told Walker what happened. Walker just like, he's like, dude, do you understand what you just did? You just blew some pussy. I was like, what are you talking about? Dude. So I didn't understand the power of having a good body. I knew I was in shape. I had a 6-pack. I used to run. And then this is when body game really started to happen. There was this pregnant girl. I still have her picture. Oh my God. Pretty long hair, but she was pregnant. I tapped that. That was the second person I had sex with. And she was a moaner. She made a lot of noise when you were hitting it, right? So all the people in the barracks heard her antics, right? And this is where shit got really strange to me. I literally had women, because her roommate told the women I was the one that was making all those sounds, right? And women would literally stop me and it's like, so what were you doing to make her scream and holler like that? I didn't even know how to answer that question because at the time, That was my second sexual partner in life. It was great. It was awesome. I busted a big ass nut there because I was like, she's pregnant. I have to worry about it. So I'm in the hallway and I'm in the female barracks. And then Lisa had just come from taking a shower. She's in a robe and everything. And she's talking to me. And she's like, so what were you doing down there? Because Lisa was on the second floor. I was on the second floor visiting a friend. Her name was Hope. Hope was African. And Hope used to have this beautiful music that she used to play. And I had gotten a cassette tape from her that I was going to dub. And then I had that in my pocket and I ran to Lisa. And Lisa's like, so what are you doing? I was like, I was just hitting it, you know? I had no game. I had nothing. And Lisa's like, come show me. Just like that. I was like, okay, so I fall in the room. Next thing you know, the robe's off. Lisa's on her knees giving me a blowjob. I'm just sitting there like. Then I ended up dating Lisa for about 2 years before I leave Schofield Barracks. But, because I had discovered the power of body game, I was dating Lisa and I was fucking other chicks. Because literally, I could just walk in. Let me see. Can I? Oh. All right. We used to have photo albums back in the day. And it's not in this one. Let me see. Well, that's what my room looked like when I was in the military, right? And I will see right there by that's me in Japan back there. I'm looking for one picture in particular. This dude, he looked like Tupac, right? I was in the military with him. But essentially, body game really opened up doors for me. And I want to show you some pictures of what I looked like when I was doing the Craigslist protocols. And I was extremely strong. I would do 450 on the bench, 245 overhead press, 750 deadlift, 695 squat. And that's the look that I have. Now, I wasn't ripped, but I was extremely muscular, and that had an impact for the Craigslist protocols. First level was presentation, first level was the written ads. The second level was presentation. The third level was command structure. And body game, because, you know, there's this whole thing about being lean, right? There was a photo of a guy who was like working out. He wasn't in bad shape. And there was a guy who was ultra lean. And the men and women got into a fight about, they thought the guy who was ultra lean, that's what women would like the most, right? And I knew exactly, because women like a man with muscle and, you know, to be in shape, not to be overweight and to be shape. And that's the image that I presented. I was extremely muscular. You could barely see my abs. They were kind of there, but they were not like sharp and edged. And that really opened the door for me to get a lot of women. Body game. No verbal game, just looking good, just being in shape. So body game is one of the things that you can use to literally change your life. And that's why the first thing for the disruptive male was get your economics together. And the second thing was to get your body together. And the third thing was to get your mental together. And the fourth thing was to date submissive women. So once you get all this stuff together, It's amazing what can happen and how the doors will open up for you to be successful and for you to have leverage in dating women. So let me know your thoughts and opinions down here about body game and how it impacts and helps you get women.